Hey everybody, it's TheSketchMonkey here and welcome back to the channel. Now, I've been asked so many times for this specific modification or redesign that we're going to make today. And specifically since my last Viper redesign, which I'm going to link either up here in the corner or somewhere down in the description. But what some of you crazy people want to see is the Viper being turned into a mid-engine sports car. And I haven't done it yet because to me the Viper is such a, it's on the far end when it comes to proportions and design, when it comes to front engine cars with a big V10 in the front with a massive hood that stretches almost half the length of the car, which I'm gonna show you here, and turning this car into a mid-engine car, it's first of all going to be a challenge. Second, it's going to be very difficult to make it look like a Viper because this is what a Viper looks like. It's a very long hood, a little bubbly roof, and then it just dips down into that integrated ducktail in the back. But regardless, it's going to be done in this video. So let's have a look at the Viper here. I'm gonna take the model that came out in 2014, which is the latest model. I think it went up to 2017 before they canceled it due to lack of sales. Kinda sad story there, but anyway, here it is in yellow. So what do we need to do here to turn this into a mid-engine car? I mean, the obvious thing is, first of all, to move the greenhouse here, which is this part right here, and move this whole thing forward. So we need to have it be the A-pillar, which you can see. Let's have a look at this first. I want to show you this. So let's have a look at the full length of the car here. And let's see where the A-pillar starts. You can see that it's almost further back on the car than it is, closer to the front of the car, which is just insane. It's like the greenhouse of the Viper is actually sitting on the rear axle here, and I love these original Viper proportions. I know I love it because as a kid, this car was one of the cars that excited me the most when I was really young, maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 or something like that, and I saw the Viper come out, the earlier Vipers, and I thought it looked so cool. It just appealed to the kid design with the silly proportions and that they actually put it into production. So let's have a look at the A-pillar here and how far ahead this whole greenhouse here needs to be moved. It needs to start, the A-pillar needs to dip somewhere around this point. So we have this full distance here that we need to move the greenhouse forward. And also what that does is that it creates a flat surface right here. So we're gonna have to figure out how to connect this line here, the dip in the greenhouse, into the integrated ducktail and have that be a smooth line that looks like it could actually be a real car, not just copy paste stuff. I've seen a lot of renderings lately where they just copy a front end and smack it onto a mid-engine car, and that doesn't really make sense to me because the front end of one specific car has a completely different design language to the car that they smack it on to. It just becomes a lot of conflict in the lines when you do that. So you need to think about the overall shape and the overall lines of the car and connect them to make it look as real as possible, that it could actually be some car that came out from the original manufacturer. And of course, another thing we have here is the since it's a front engine, the original Viper, we have the air outlet right here. So air flows out from this outlet right here. This, of course, is not going to work if we have a mid-engine car. We need to completely remove this and have some sort of Gallardo air intake right here. Looking something like this, maybe a traditional intake like this that just cools the engine so we have air coming in right here. And this is something that we need to sketch completely from scratch. Also going to be a bit of a challenge. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I mean, it would be very easy to just take the greenhouse like this. I can just copy, let's see, let me show you exactly what I mean here. Let's just copy the greenhouse right here, select the whole thing like this, and then just move it forward like this. And boom, we have ourselves a mid-engine Viper. And then what we can do is we can select the clone tool up here. I'm teaching you a little bit of Photoshop here. This is called the clone tool. So we can just clone away what we don't need here in the back, and boom, it's starting to look like a mid-engine Viper here. And then of course, if you add some yellow in here, this would be the very easy way to create the car that we want to create. But as I said before, I don't want it to be just another render where it looks like nothing is really connected. So the big challenge here is not going to be moving around all these parts. The big challenge is going to be, how do we make all these parts play well together? And that's what we're going to jump into or continue in Photoshop right here and get started with this big challenge. And simply, let's just see how this mid-engine Viper is going to turn out, because that's what you crazy guys want to see. And there we have it, guys. That's the redesign of the Dodge Viper, turning it into, I can't believe I'm saying this, a mid-engine sports car. And honestly, I think it turned out okay. It doesn't really look like a Viper anymore, which was obviously going to happen when you have such a typical shape, such as the Viper, and you remove what's so special about it. All you're left with really is the graphics to play with, to make it have some resemblance of the old car. It looks like it's a smaller car here, even though the wheelbase is actually exactly the same and not something that I changed. But it's all about the line flow here. We need to connect some of the lines to make it look like a proper car and not have it look like it was copy-pasted from a bunch of different elements and graphics and cars just stuck or slapped onto a package that is a mid-engine car. So for example, we have the line that goes on the C-pillar and then continues down in the Gallardo air intake there in the door. It kind of follows that line right there. And then we have the rear shoulder line, which I wanted to beef up a little bit more. Have a sharp line that goes right there above the front wheel and into the door, and then stretches into the front as well. So we have one of those key lines right there. And then, of course, the base line, which I think is a very important line on pretty much any car, specifically sports cars, to make them look planted. You need to have a solid baseline, and that's what I wanted to add here in this car as well. So I added some just styling cues in the bottom of the car, just at the lowest part of the car, to make it look more planted, and it really reflects well. It plays well with the rest of the graphics in the car, specifically around the air intake there. But the Viper, to me in general, it's I think it's an underrated car. I think the design is so crazy that I feel like it should be appreciated more. And this was one of these cars that I played the most in Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2, I think it was. The Viper GTS in blue with white stripes. It looked so good, and I loved to just tilt the camera to a 3/4 rear view. That's what I do when I play video games and car games. I spend more time rotating the camera around the car than actually racing, because I want to find the cool angles of the cars, and people think I'm really weird when I do that because I let them win while I'm rotating around the car.
The Dodge Viper. Its menacing form hides the triple threat of its V10 engine.
But anyway, the Viper GTS was such a cool car, specifically from a rear 3/4 rear view, almost at ground level. Exactly the view that I did in my previous redesign or modernization of the Viper. You can go back and check that so you see the angle that I'm talking about. But I used to play that car a lot because I just love the way the Viper looks. It's such a cool car. I don't know what they must have depreciated a lot right now. But you know, there comes a time where all the sports cars that depreciate hard, they reach a bottom point and then they start to slowly creep back up again. And the Viper, I feel, should probably be in that low valley right now. It's probably starting to climb up in a couple of years or so. Who knows? Anyway, thank you so much for spending the time watching this video today. It really means a lot to me. And if you enjoyed it, which of course I think you did, since you are here, and we're now at the end of this video. So this tells me that you either left the video running and went doing something else, or you're actually here right now and watching this. So you might as well hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thanks again, I'm TheSketchMonkey. Take care, and I will see you in the next video.